if I've ever seen a team in need of some forward quality, it's this one.
Geordie Journo's back here. Where were we?
Don't. Anybody who's seen the live will know that joke. We're at St James's Park.
Yes, home of Newcastle United, home of Newcastle's only second defeat of 2024. First since January, first time they haven't scored here since May 2023. And yeah, disappointing afternoon here at St James's Park. Newcastle losing 1-0 to Brighton. Spoke to Eddie Howe after the game, thought Newcastle were dominant, controlling. Similar story to Everton, except Brighton go the other end and score an annoying goal.
Yeah, it was. Just a frustrating day. I think everybody out there knows what happened. They know why it happened, who played well, who didn't play well. I think maybe we're talking about this off air. Use this video maybe to look a bit deeper into what people are saying out there. Anybody who did see the live, apart from the comments were asking which stadium we're at and which team we're playing, there was a real, and it was more than undercurrent. You were there watching over my shoulder of negative Eddie Howe, anti-Eddie Howe, Howe out. How I'm really intrigued to know, is this just a post-match anger? Is it deeper than that? I'm not going to sit here and say I'm how in or how out, because I don't really think that's my job at the moment to be saying anything like that. However, I think critique and criticism of certain things that have gone on in the last... This hasn't just been today, and it hasn't just been the last...
It's been all year, really.
Yes, I would say so. It's been quite some time. What I would look at with Eddie Howe is he transformed the team, they stayed up. Then that first season they were incredible. A large part of the team that's still playing now is that team, and the next year, although they had the injuries, which stunted them slightly, they weren't as good as they were the season before, even when they had all the players. And when they've got all the players now, they're still not as good as what they were last season. To me, that is a trend, and the trend is that this team has stood still in personnel and in approach and the way that it's going. Now, that doesn't mean today was the worst thing in the world. I think for half an hour they were incredible.
As good as Newcastle played this season.
If they could have got a couple of goals, I think it might be a totally different outlook. But
that's what Eddie Howe said as well.
And I agree with him. However, they didn't, and they got punished. And they didn't at Everton either. And they haven't at any game this season looked like scoring goals. They've created chances and openings, but the final third quality is really lacking. And Anthony Gordon hasn't become a bad player. He's still the same player. Alexander Isak is rusty as out, really rusty, but he hasn't become a bad player. There's still decent players in there. However, the opportunity Newcastle had, which how many windows ago was this when you had Gordon and Isak both available in the team? You're talking 2 summers and a January. That's 3 windows to get players to support those bits of quality, and they haven't got anywhere close to it. If I've ever seen a team that is in need of some kind of kick up the backside, it's this one, and it's got to be in the forward areas. You've got to go and get forward players. Now back to the Howe thing. There is a downward trajectory, I think there's no doubt about that, and I do wonder, ask this question, I wonder, I've seen a lot of fans say it, but I'm not saying, and obviously never seen Eddie Howe say it, I wonder if there was a feeling that with everybody fit and no injuries, it would just be better. With the same personnel, we would just be better. But the signs were never there that would be the case.
No, but that's also a point that was echoed by Paul Mitchell when I was one of several people who spoke to him last month, and you spoke to him in the summer off the record, and it was all about, well, we'll have Joe Willock back, we'll have Sandro Tonali back, Harvey Barnes is fully fit and ready to go again. Sorry, it's all happening behind us here. But yeah, there was, I think, an internal belief at Newcastle United that all these players coming back without Europe as a distraction or a potential to get more injuries and more fatigue in your squad, that Newcastle would, that plateau they may have had towards the back end of last season and through an injury crisis would start to go on an upward trajectory again. And if anything, they've stagnated and it's going down again. The performances just haven't been there with the results. Eddie Howe said, look, we were getting the performances at the start, the results weren't there. Now we're getting the performances, the results aren't there. But I'd argue You're getting the performances maybe in
To a point.
2/3 of the pitch. The third of the pitch that really matters is scoring goals, and
Go.
that's Newcastle's biggest issue. It's 7 hours now without a goal from open play, and this is a side who scored 85 Premier League goals last season that could score for fun even when they had those injury difficulties and players were in and out of the team. I think it does go back to the created chances today, but the goalkeeper, other than that save from Anthony Gordon, didn't really have anything spectacular to do.
No, he made a good save from Isak and a good save from Gordon, both of which were in the first half. Second half, Newcastle created barely anything. Gordon had one where he went through. Isak, did he have one where he went through?
Yeah, we hit it straight at him.
Yeah.
He made 2 one-on-one saves that were straight at him.
However, despite having all the ball, all the possession, they weren't knocking on the door. It never felt like they were going to break down the door. It was just going to take a moment or a bit of quality from somewhere. And then you look to your bench and you say, can you bring some quality on?
That was the big issue today, I think.
And there was some odd changes. I think that's fair to say. I think a lot of people in our comments on the live picked up on that. Why did Tonali come off when he was... I thought he was all right today, and I think he was playing in bursts. He had a good first half hour, then probably a good 10 minutes before he went off.
Yeah, Howe was asked about that actually, and he explained he obviously played 180 minutes for Italy. It was more load management. The same with Bruno. Bruno was cramping up towards the end. That's why he came off, and Tonali was feeling a bit of fatigue. That's according to Eddie Howe. That's the justification for those 2 changes.
I can see why he brought Almiron on, but he's turning to Miguel Almiron when he quite clearly, I think, at the start of the season made his mind up that Miguel Almiron was not the man, given that he's tried to pick everybody else ahead of him. And now he's turning to him. Fran says they're struggling. They are struggling.
Yeah.
I think you can't really get away from that. I just think they've got to go in January. They've got to go in January, and they've got to go and get to...
Not for Mark Gay, by the way,
no,
necessarily.
No, I don't really think that's the problem area. Do you really want bodies in defence? Do you really want piles of options at centre half, right back and left back? Come on, what puts bums on seats? What gets people excited? What gets opposition managers going and worried?
Yeah.
It's if you go from Isak's not playing the day, right, now we're turning to X, Y, Z. Anthony Gordon, not quite at his level, he was great for half an hour, drops off, right, now we're turning to whoever it may be, bang.
Yeah.
There's a problem, another problem we're going to pose you. Newcastle don't have that. Harvey Barnes is not a problem for any team in the Premier League unless he's 20 yards out.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant finisher. The rest of his game is so far lacking from what Anthony Gordon could do. It's beyond belief. The right-hand side is so lacking. Jacob Murphy did a really good defensive job today, which is what he was asked to do quite clearly in terms of balance, but gives you very little. He can have the odd moment of quality in the odd game, mostly against teams in the bottom half of the Premier League.
Yeah. That
shows the levels of quality. Then you turn to Miguel Almiron, who, like I said, I think Eddie Howe's quite clearly made the decision. It's not what he wants. So they have to go and get somebody in that position, and they have to go and get somebody. Callum Wilson is not the answer to any question at Newcastle United right now. So they need to get rid of him and bring somebody else in who's going to be able to support Isak when he has a game like that where actually he was really involved, more involved than he probably has been all season, but he's so rusty and it was so far off it. He's not had a very good season. We thought he was going to be the man to go and bang in 30 goals this season. So far he's looked very, very far away from that. Anthony Gordon is quite far off it. The key players Newcastle have needed to step up to show that quality are a bit off it. I thought Bruno was alright today. I didn't think he was bad. I didn't think he was good. I thought Joe Linton was really good in the second half actually.
He came into
probably one of Newcastle's better players. And looking at it, I think Lewis Hall, the more I see of that lad, the more promising I think. I think he's the bright spark that I got from today. That he was my man of the match.
Yeah, he was mine as well. Bar that late sort of failed header.
Yes, header missed.
That was a very solid performance from him until that point.
I mean,
he was Newcastle's best player on the ball.
He lacks a yard. He's not the quickest. He's not rapid or anything.
No.
He lacks a yard. He's not the biggest, and his defensive work still needs work. But technically and everything, I see a really good player, and I think he's got a good high ceiling. So I think there is that positive. But the forward options is the problem. It's a massive area. They do miss Kieran Trippier as well.
The right side looks so weak today without Kieran Trippier, and it just in a creative sense. And we've said that before. We've said that a lot of time. Tino Livramento struggled again today. He's another one who you'd go, he hasn't had the greatest of seasons. He's still getting up to speed with just playing regularly Premier League football because he's never done that in his career.
He still looks like a lad who's got a lot to learn to me. Yeah. And I like him. I like him as an athlete. He's big and strong and quick, and there's lots to like about him. He's still got a lot to learn. Kieran Trippier has lost a yard massively in the last 6 to 12 months. Really dropped off. But what he's lost defensively, because he can get beat by wingers, which he wasn't a year and a half ago, he is now. Still gives you so much going forward, and it's something Newcastle just totally lack. That right hand side is bereft of quality in many ways. Tonali drifts in and out of games, and what I'm going to say about Tonali might not be popular with everybody out there. However, he's a £60 million midfielder, and as a £60 million midfielder, I want to see him grab games by the scruff of the neck. Where does he fit? Is it it's not quite getting the best out of him? He's had a lot of football now. He's getting back up to speed. And I think he looks better. I do think he looks better. But I'm still not seeing the £60 million boost and impact that midfield needed when it was the Longstaff replacement. We all knew it. Longstaff knew it. I'm still not seeing it. I'm still not seeing a consistent level £60 million value added to that midfield. I want more.
We thought we did in his debut against Villa, but it's been all downhill and then a little bit uphill in recent weeks.
I thought he was decent today.
In flashes,
but I'm still not seeing. If you go and buy a midfielder who, probably the second or third most expensive player this football club's ever bought. Second. I want to see levels of that performance. There are mitigating factors. We all know this. I'm not stupid, but sometimes. But by the same token, I've never seen a lad who's going to go and unlock doors, who's going to play Tonali and Longstaff and put them next to each other. One will outshine the other in terms of on the ball, quality, vision, everything. However, and put Joe Linton in that mix. Let's put the three of them together. I bet me bottom dollar that two of them will get 8 to 10 goals every season. One of them looks nowhere near. Right. So where's the £60 million impact come from?
Yeah, no, I see your point.
He's not a holding midfielder.
There's a bit of an identity crisis there.
That's kind of, maybe I'm sounding harsh, but that's where I'm kind of getting at. What is he? And where does he fit in this team? He looks to me like a lad who wants to break forward. I didn't see in depth the Italian games, but he's bursting into the box every time a ball goes in. Like, really quick, strong. He's chunking out physically. He looks the part. He does.
It's a good phrase.
He has though, hasn't he? He's like, you can tell he's been working on his physique.
I felt sorry for him today though, because the fastest he ran all day was busting a gut to get the corner flag.
He did.
And Jacob Murphy checks back, and Sandro Tonali's like, "What am I doing?
Exactly.
What am I doing with my life here?
So,
I've just ran 60 yards to support an attack, and then it's just died." And that was the problem. That right side is.
I really like the look of him, by the way. I think he looks fantastic. However, is he the 60 million boost that I thought he was going to be? I still want more. I want something more from him, and that's either creating a goal, scoring a goal, grabbing a game by the scruff of the neck and running it and making his name. He hasn't had a standout performance since he came back, and I kind of thought he might.
Yeah.
I thought there might have been something where you could hang your hat and say Tonali was man of the match today. Even if they got beat, drew, whatever, Tonali was the man today, and he hasn't done it. He hasn't been the man of the match. He's never even been close, actually.
He was good against Forest. His first game back.
The cup game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really good, actually. That's probably the best he's been.
Only one where, and he had moments against Man City, Everton today, but it is one of them where you're spending that sort of money on a midfielder. You do expect. Well, it's on Newcastle as well. Newcastle need to find the best way to utilise him, and will it just click overnight, or do you need to actually? And what does that come back down to? The manager's responsible for the team that goes out there. Yeah.
The manager's responsible for making the right changes, for setting the right team, setting the right traps, setting up properly tactically against teams. I don't think he's been out tactic or anything by anybody particularly this season. I think he's done all right. But they just don't look like a team capable of scoring goals. And where's that come from? Like you say, they've flipped the switch, gone from a team that scores for fun even when they're not playing very well, and haven't got any players and all sorts, to suddenly now Howe's got the same options he had at the start of last season, around the same time. And I think if we probably rewind the clock back, we might have been having the same kind of conversations. I remember some of the criticisms at the time where he's got so many options and he wouldn't bring players on. He wouldn't rotate, he wouldn't change things. I think there was a little bit of that. Is there too much of that now? I don't think he really still knows. The team doesn't really know what it is at the moment. they're actually controlling games better than they ever have under Howe. These last 2 games are real evidence of that. But they look like scoring less. So have they in switching from a team that's predominantly counter-attack and relies upon its pace and power and physicality, in switching to a team that looks to control the ball, have they lost everything that made them great? I don't know.
Because they've always struggled, even if you go back to that 4th place season at times, if teams just sit back and 2 backs or 4, like, really, how do you break that down? And that goes to something you brought up during the game, and it's something that Bruno has had in flashes, Sandro Tonali, that don't necessarily have someone who can consistently look to unlock
doors. It doesn't. I quite like the balance between the two of them. I think in second half in particular I was seeing Bruno further forward, didn't I? And Tonali would sit in, and I like that adaptability. But really, they're both jack of all trades, that neither of them's really doing either job to the level you would want. I always look at certain players, you see them all over the Premier League, ones who can just find a slight of angle, a pass, just something. And Newcastle just lack that guile in games like this where you need to break teams down.
Yeah.
Some will come in, I know I said that in the live, and some people came in the comments and said the opposite. They said it isn't really that, they're creating the chances, it's just the quality. I don't necessarily think they're actually creating a boatload of chances. That 21 shots compared to Brighton's handful at max today. Yeah. How many of them were real? Like, Isak had a couple, Gordon one.
Gordon has that header. I think you should put that away.
Yeah, actually, I forgot about the Gordon header. That was one you've got to score.
Yeah,
you've got
or at
to
least
score.
Get it on target.
Yeah, he just doesn't get over it, does he?
No. So I think Newcastle. I do agree to a degree of that point, because Newcastle are creating chances. It is what they were relying on at the start of the season was moments of quality to win them games. Now they're lacking those moments of quality, but they're still creating the chances.
I mean, this is what I'm saying. We're just actually standing having a big crack and actually playing out these arguments in my head. I don't necessarily know what the problem is.
They're playing okay, but I think it's clutching at straws a little bit to go, well, we're playing well, when you're not. 7 hours without a goal from open play.
That's really bad. It's really bad, and I think it would be wrong of anybody not to be critiquing it.
Bear in mind they played a League 2 team in that period mix as well. Not good.
It's not good. It's not
good. We saw Eddie Howe walk out. He looked dejected.
He looked very disappointed.
Yeah.
I've never seen him walk out alone. I don't think there's anything to read into that, but it just looked a bit sorry. He looked really quite affected by what he'd seen today, because I think he probably feels his team couldn't have really done a whole lot more.
He probably thinks, look, I've managed a team in a system that really put Brighton, who are a good attacking team, on the back foot and really ask questions of them, but ultimately
Brighton are a team that scores goals, and Newcastle made them look like a team who couldn't. They barely had an opportunity.
Scored a terrible. Like, fair play to Danny Welbeck, he scored his opportunity, showed good strength there. Terrible from Newcastle's perspective.
Livramento was pathetic for it, really, wasn't he?
Fabian Schär got sucked in as well.
Somebody said that. Where were the centre halves? So it just wasn't. Look, it's one of those. You don't write it off because it's got you. It's not our job to say one of those days. You can say that if you want. Yeah. It's our job to look a little bit deeper and think about look about the
here's the
context.
man.
Here's Jordan Cronin.
Quick cameo.
Jump in. Is there anything you want? Anything you want? We've obviously done the usuals. Is there anything you want to discuss about that game? How do you feel? How do you feel about? I was talking earlier about the Eddie Howe thing. We talked about it off the camera. There was a lot of criticism in the comments. There might end up being criticism in the comments on here. There's been a fair bit on social media. Where do you stand on it? Is he under pressure? Is he not under pressure? Does he deserve to be under pressure?
At what point will he be?
At what point will he be? Yeah, it's a good point.
I think he deserves criticism like everybody else. I don't think Eddie Howe should be blameless. That's my stance on it. I think it probably goes back to the video we did after Fulham, and I would say the performances have improved since then, but there's still that not much has really changed in the way that they play. It's the same style, same formation.
They haven't scored since, have they? From open play.
There was a quote from Eddie Howe in the press conference which was interesting to me. My ears pricked up a little bit, and he said, "I'm a firm believer if things are going, if you're playing well, eventually, like, keep doing the same thing and eventually it'll come good." And that sort of maybe is the issue.
So tapping into the ethos of Eddie Howe, If you ask anybody who
If
knows
it
him
ain't
really
broke, don't
well,
try and fix
if
it.
he knows anybody who
But
knows
he's very
that's what he
process.
is.
He's very
That's what he is.
process-driven.
He believes in what he does, and he believes if things are like if we keep doing the things that he does, it will work. I don't think that's always a good approach. I don't think that's always a good approach.
I think when things need tweaking, tweaking. I think you look at the top managers in the world across the Premier League. If things dry up, there's usually changes made because the top managers can do that. I'm being honest, I'm still waiting to see some kind of change from Eddie Howe in terms of the way they play.
I mean, we were saying before they've developed a bit more control. They're not that high press counter-attacking team they once were.
They're different this season to what they were.
But it's not necessarily a good thing.
I just said earlier, which you wouldn't have heard, obviously, it's probably taken away the strength that they had. Their strength was being on the front foot, attacking, pressing. They did a little bit of that early on because it was what you have to do against Brighton to create those chances. And
They were brilliant for half an hour.
they controlled the game. But in controlling games now, has it taken away their main strength? Who knows? Who knows? We're not experts, are we? We never claim to be experts.
We'll just try and give you an opinion of what we're seeing. I don't know what you guys have said, but it's one of them where you look at the game and you go, well, Alexander Isak missed a one-on-one and Anthony Gordon missed a clear header. But I was going feelings, and it's really hard to explain sort of feelings, but I had a feeling in that game, and it never really felt like Newcastle were going to score. And I know that sounds ridiculous because people go, well, they missed gaping chances. Yes, they did, but on the whole, it just felt like they lacked ideas. That's what it was, and
goes back to a phrase we used last season where they're not knocking on the door, they're like stroking the door. Like, it's been a bit of that, hasn't it? Where,
hello, let us
tapping
in.
on the door. Like it's dominant, it's controlling, but ultimately it's a bit fruitless in the final third. It's a bit.
But that just comes back to the thing, like, if I've ever seen a team in need of some forward quality, it's this one. They've not improved, I said this earlier, 3 windows now, they've not improved the forward quality at all. Not even close to it. They've brought Harvey Barnes in, who is quite clearly a 20-minute man and operates within a 25-yard square and is brilliant at it. But outside of that, is lacking. I thought he was poor when he came on. I think
I think all the subs were though.
Eddie Howe turned to Joe Willock today, who Joe Willock just, apart from again, we go back to the Forest game where for that first 10 minutes he looked really at it and scored and looked. Apart from that, Joe Willock since he's come back this season hasn't looked the same player that he was before.
He always needs games to open up for him to really show his qualities because he's an athlete.
Yeah,
He's a runner. That's
yeah,
what he is.
A runner, right.
And the space doesn't open up for him when you're working with little tight gaps, etc. When you're trying to break down a Brighton defence, he can't do it. Can't do it.
I mean, he turned to Will Osula today. There's a lot of people complaining in our comments saying, well, why not Will Osula? He did it today.
Yeah.
That was one of his subs.
9 minutes he got the stoppage time, didn't he?
Yeah.
He just ran around, didn't he? I thought he'd. I'm not.
It's not even worth commenting.
No, I was going to say, I thought he did all right. He just ran around. Basically.
It was just me paying lip service to it, really.
Yeah. Well, he couldn't have done it at Everton. That was a one a lot of people missed because he'd made 4 subs, but he'd made them at 3 different times, so he couldn't make a 5th. So that's why he couldn't come on.
Eddie.
It's an Eddie Howe.
I didn't know that.
Eddie Howe, because people were like, make the 5th sub. He
couldn't do it.
I think I even thought that at the time. Bring Will Osula on.
But he couldn't actually do it because of the rules.
Premier League rules.
You can only make 3 substitutions at 3 intervals, can't you?
Look, you're an Isak Gordon goals away from winning, and you talk about a very different. We're talking about a very different result in how we're feeling.
Goals change
But
perspectives.
I just look. It's 10 games into the season. Going to count the cup games. What Eddie Howe has said previously about waiting for it to click. What will it take to click? Are we just going to continue to wait, or do you want to see a bit of? Does it need change? I think it needs something. I think it needs something to re-energise it.
I think everybody requires that. It's not only like the players, the squad need a little bit of like you say, re-energise. The crowd needs it. Everybody needs something to hang the hat on. There's been nothing. I mean, most people, the positive that came out the summer was everyone going, ooh, Tonali's back. That was the only thing all of these people who turn up here had, and people outside of this ground had to hang the hat on, was like, ooh, he might be like a new signing. We've been down that road before. everybody needs a boost, and it doesn't need numbers in defence. It doesn't need Mark Gay. It doesn't need whoever it may be as a defender. It needs some forward players, somebody who's going to excite, someone who's going to get everything started, someone who you can bring off the bench and everyone's sort of like, ooh, right, here we go. You bring Joe Willock and Harvey Barnes off the bench, it doesn't have that impact. It's like, they've shown in the past they can show a bit of quality and win you a game.
Dice, really, isn't it? That's all
you want somebody who's going to excite and cause. You want somebody who the opposition manager is going to look and go, I've just left Isak off or Gordon's just gone off. Now I've got a whole different problem who's just as good and going to cause me issues. It was the subs that were made, which is just the strength of the squad, by the way, but the subs that were made are just a slow. It's like a degeneration of the team. Like, it's not as good as what it was. It's just getting worse.
It's just fresh legs, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just fresh legs. It's hoping that new energy gives you a boost, rather than thinking I'm bringing on real quality here who's going to change a Premier League football match.
I think you're right.
I just look at the right hand forward position, which I keep going on about as an absolute must to strengthen. Well, I can do that in January. I think they've got to.
Wilson needs got. I'd said it earlier in the video. He needs gone.
But it's almost.
And then you need to bring somebody else in to play that position.
And I think they need a creative midfielder. And
we said that.
But they've got 6 midfielders at the club. So would one have to make way to go and bring one? And it goes out to personnel. Have they signed the right players in that position, because they've always lacked in number 6. And I said to you off camera, and I'll say it on you. I think they lack an Emile Smith-Rowe or a Morgan Gibbs-White. There's teams down the bottom of the table have these players unlocked doors. Newcastle at this moment in time don't. But of course,
don't have that craft or guile, do they?
No. You're waiting on Bruno to try and get a couple of yards more up the pitch than he's trying to unlock doors, and he tried to do that today, to be fair to him. I thought he did, putting a couple of balls through. But just that player who you come against teams and who you know is going to pick up gaps and cause problems and ask questions to the defence. We went to Fulham and we knew that.
Yeah, he knew he was going to do that, didn't he?
Teams come here and know they probably have to outrun and outfight Newcastle to get a result. But they don't have to worry about bar Isaacs and maybe Gordon's like pure attacking quality, where if you know they're going to get the ball, they're going to cause real problems.
Yeah.
But I'm frustrated after that.
Yeah,
I'm frustrated.
I think most people out there will be frustrated too. Do we need to do the T's and C's before we jump off?
Yeah.
We're all going to be at Chelsea, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think.
That's the plan. We'll be at Eddie Howe's presser
Yes.
on Friday.
And you'll
And
also
Chelsea
get
on Sunday.
Shots TV as well.
Yes.
Shots TV video at 10:30 on Monday night.
Yeah.
I know people do regularly tune in. I had somebody approach me this morning saying, why do you not put them on YouTube? Because it's exclusive to Shots TV, so we've got to kind of give them a little bit of a run on there, rather than just bang it
And we
on
did
here.
it once, and everyone
Yeah.
hammered us.
Well, yes. Do I have to address that?
If you want.
Might as well.
Some people didn't like it, and I thought some people made some good points. Some people spoke their mind.
The only way I want to address it is saying it's all just opinions. There's no need to be offended. We're all going to have different opinions. I might think a player's good, you won't. It's just the way it is. And I think it's more of a loyalty thing I was getting at. Probably more. There was a lot of people talking about postcodes, that kind of thing. I never went anywhere close to that.
Yeah.
It kind of just meant loyalty more probably than local. They would be the two words
Yeah,
I'd probably trade.
Yeah, it was about the ticketing
Loyal.
at St James's Park, just for people who weren't,
who didn't
weren't
know
aware.
that. Sorry, I didn't explain that.
And the point I was trying to make is I don't think some guy that's now watching Newcastle United in his life should have priority coming over from America
Or any
and
sort
wants a
of
day
people.
out.
Anyway,
If you've got family history of you're a Newcastle fan, it's carried through
it's lovely.
family. That's great, and you should be prioritised, but not the guy who's in America and jumped on the bandwagon.
It's the
you know what I mean?
bandwagon jumpers with deep pockets. You want to almost keep at arm's length.
That's the point.
But those
Yes.
are people who ultimately the
They're
club will be going, we can make a
They're
bit
the
of
people
money
that
off.
come over and
Yeah.
spend.
Yeah, exactly.
Liverpool
They'll
have done
get,
it.
They'll get the shirt, they'll get corporate. they'll-
The corporate rubbish is what we don't want,
Yeah.
and we want Newcastle to break that trend.
Break
We're
the
not,
mold,
we're not
which I
really,
said.
yeah, we're not really saying we don't want any Tom, Dick, or Harry who's moved away and comes and travels from Germany or travels from America or travels from Scandinavia not to have a chance of getting a ticket. It's more the football, the real football tourist with nothing in there, no black and white in them. I don't want that. Like, that's just my opinion. And people might say, but how do you progress as a football club? I don't care. Don't care for any of that rubbish. This club will progress enough. If you make it big enough, they will come. We know this city backs this football club. It doesn't need all of the rubbish from outside it. What it does in a PSR world is need the money. And that's the problem. That's where modern football's going. And that's all really, I know, I can't speak for you, that because we spoke about this, that's where our problem comes from.
Yeah.
Not Geordie lives in X, shouldn't be allowed to come back because he
Yeah.
doesn't have an NE postcode. That's not really what the point was.
No,
it's
not
more the football tourist who you go anywhere at Anfield and you'll see people at Liverpool complain about the same thing because they cannot get tickets for their kids who they've walked up to the gates week in, week out, being at their families, their grandparents, their grandparents have walked up to Anfield and got tickets. Same for us here. Generations of my family have walked up to St James's Park and my children can't do the same. That impacts me and I don't like it. Now I want that to change. Don't think it will. I don't think this football club, even when it expands its stadium, this might be a controversial opinion, I just don't think they're going to drop season tickets in people's lap. I think it's going to be more of the tourism thing.
Yeah, that's
sadly, and the corporate, £375 to go and sit in a restaurant, have a little rest, get there for 12 o'clock, have your dinner, and then get ferried along to St James's Park to sit in a corporate padded seat. That, to me, is rubbish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paid if you want to. If you want to do it, crack on. It's just not football to me.
But bandwagon fans are more likely to do that because it's a
Yes,
it's a
well,
day
that's
out.
all it's appealing to. It's not appealing to any Tom,
Yeah.
Dick, or Harry.
Yeah.
We cannot afford that.
No. Definitely not.
There's a thanks button. Hey, well, right. I think we've been all over. The lights are on rather than out here, but the darkness has closed in at St James's Park.
T's and C's, Liam.
T's and C's. Four Rivers Financial Planning are the proud sponsors of all Geordie Journo's videos. We did a live earlier. Check that out. Dom and Jordan have been busy on the. Was it you, Dom? Do you do the shorts? Was it you?
Both of
No,
us.
both done a short.
Yeah, these two guys have been involved in the
Although-
shorts.
Have a look at the Jacob Murphy one. It's not going down very well with fans now after a difficult display
Yes.
for him.
Oh, is it getting bad comments?
I've seen lots of comments on Twitter saying
It's more
lots of humour, no footballing ability.
Oh, it's only a bit of fun,
which
man.
I think-
Come on.
Which I think's
It's a
terrible.
bit of fun.
If Jacob Murphy had scored the winner today, it'd be like, oh, great humour, great footballer.
Yeah.
Such is life. If Newcastle had won the day, I would have been a lot more positive. I'm guessing you guys would have been a lot more positive, but 10 games in, I didn't.
That's the thing with that stage of the
don't know.
season now. We've seen enough of Newcastle and we're still
I've seen enough
unsure.
of Newcastle to know that I don't think they're going to be challenging where people want them to be challenging. They're not going to be involved in the top four, probably. Things can look, everything can go and it can change and stuff can work. And what I've seen so far, I don't think they're anywhere near that. I think they're probably about where they are. I think they'll finish in the top half, and if they have a good season, they'll squeeze into the 6, 7,
Yeah, you-
8. If they have a bad season, they might finish 8, 9, 10. That's
And
probably
then
where.
big questions need to be asked. don't
Yes,
they, really?
unless you go and win a trophy.
Yeah.
Which is easier said than done. as
Could
we
be
know.
up the spout in a few weeks' time. But you never know. Let's hope so. I missed out on the tickets for that ballot, so I actually
Oh,
will
I
be
see.
doing Geordie Journo.
I'm
stuff.
off that week, but I'll be in the press box.
Ah,
it's my
yes.
commitment
You are a committed man to this football club.
to Geordie Journey.
He just,
Jordan
came, he
did
just
it.
came for the free day out, man. It's American, him. Bandwagon. Sorry,
bandwagon
mob. Sorry.
journal.
Yeah.
Get out.
Get me pie.
Right.
No, I'll do some work for you, don't worry. On my day off.
Yeah. I believe you. You're a hard-working lad. We're only joking. You don't have to justify yourself to me. I see the graft every
Oh,
day.
do you? Oh.
Right. Four Rivers Financial Planning. I didn't even give you a fair run. If you want any financial advice, go to Four Rivers Financial Planning. The bits and bobs will be down here. Obviously, we do this for free. You get this content for free. Check the live out. Check all other things. But there is also a thanks button if you do want to. If you do love what we do, feel free, jump in the thanks, or even just, I don't mind, just comment, like, share, spread the word. We love what we do. We are privileged to be in this position. We're three big fans of this football club, as well as having the professional touch as well, and
We'll
being
try.
journalists sometimes.
I feel comes down on these videos sometimes,
definitely
but in the
does.
press box we're
It does.
usually
We're
alright.
very professional. So look, we'll try our best. If you enjoy the content, do like, let me know, and get involved in the conversation. How out, how in. criticising, non-criticising, whatever you think, jump in the comments, let us know, because we've seen a lot of it and I'm really interested to know your thoughts, and we'll get back to you all the way through. You can like, you can comment, you can share, subscribe, you can say thanks, you can click the bell as well. I haven't said that for a while. Click the bell if you like all your Geordie Journos content, and they'll come straight in the device where you watch this from. Hopefully the new mic is proven a success. You thought it sounded good the other day, didn't you?
Yeah, it sounded better.
Hopefully. And you've got a party to go to, so we want to enjoy yourself.
Oh, Jordan's itching to get away.
He is, yeah. He's going to...
Sort
Just move out.
Going to a Halloween party, aren't you?
Yeah.
Halloween?
Halloween, yeah.
It's an early
Really?
Halloween party
It
slash
is.
birthday party. Anyway.
He's going as a Macam. Anyway.
Come on.
That's
Terrible.
scary.
It is scary. You're scaring me. Right. Good night from the Geordie Journos from this stadium, which is actually called St James's Park, and the great.
This is over Jordan's head.
It
That's
is,
the
yeah.
funny
You wouldn't know
part.
anything about it. This is the home of the Newcastle Magpies.
Oh, I know
St
this.
James's
I know this crap.
Anybody who's seen the live will know that everyone was asking us what stadium this is, and we had loads of new viewers from all over the world who had no clue what stadium this was or the football team.
On the bandwagon now.
Yeah, they'll be asking for tickets next. Right? Like, comment, share, subscribe for all your Geordie Journos content, and these guys will see you at the press conference next week. We might even do a video in between, or we might just see you at 10:30 on Monday night on the TV. Good night.